Hey friend, so today I'm going to show you how to become a meal prep pro. The first thing you want to do is decide how many meals you want to make per week. I'm a busy grad student who works long hours in the lab most days, so that means on a normal week I need 5 lunches and 3 dinners. I normally end my workday early on Wednesday and Friday because of pub trivia, and because just no. So, since I need 8 meals, I start by laying out 8 of these Tupperware bowls, a perfect portion size for a 100-pound woman, with a paper towel to avoid mess before starting the rice. I found through trial and error that 3 cups with 6 cups of water is perfect to fill 8 of these bowls about halfway, but do what works for you and your diet. Always be sure to wash your rice before boiling, and I've always been able to reliably cook it in a medium-sized pot by turning the heat to max, then reducing the heat and covering when it comes to a boil. This week, as usual, I'm going with 4 bowls of one meal and 4 bowls of another just to keep things interesting throughout the day. If you really wanted to save money, you could do the same thing every meal every day, but like the hedonic treadmill exists or something. Anyway, let's get started on the first set of meals. All I use for my meal prep is 1 baking pan, 1 large cutting board, and a stock pot for curry ingredients. I'll put the recipe for this chickpea curry in the description, but basically you throw things one at a time into a stock pot that is much larger than it needs to be. Oh, and you know I couldn't resist giving this a try. Don't forget to lower the burner heat and cover the rice when it comes to a boil. Real important. It's not even framed correctly. Anyways, I then add avocado oil and saute the onions until lightly browned. Throw in some minced garlic for 30 seconds or until fragrant before adding coconut milk and spices, in my case curry powder because I'm white and don't know the difference. Follow up with chickpeas, tomato, and basil off camera. The rice is done when you can fluff it with a fork and there's no water left at the bottom, so go ahead and distribute that as you see fit. I normally add a little more to the lunch bowls because that's when I'll need more energy. Now we get to my original recipe, which are just basic rice bowls with assorted vegetables. You can really pick whatever you want here, but these are the ones that are consistent bangers, that also last for an extra week or two in the crisper if stored properly. So you may only need to go shopping once every other week if you roll the dice and buy in bulk. Again, do what works for your schedule and your means. Chop these up in whatever way you like. I prefer gay, although this recipe can be adapted to be straight as well if needed. I drizzle these in avocado oil, then crack some sea salt and pepper on top, particularly on the cabbage to encourage moisture loss. Then, I finally remember to turn the oven on, but it's okay, because there are no set cooking times here. This is the Wild West of meal prep, and there are no rules. And hey, the curry's done. After doing this for like a full year, I've nearly mastered the timing of this, so if you try it out for yourself, just go one thing at a time. Feel it out. Go with the flow. Once you do get the timing down, though, you can have 4 dinners for the week all set and ready in about 30 minutes. These curry bowls will last for a week in the fridge or slightly longer in the freezer. Going back to the veggie bowls, it's important to have your protein, and lately I've been obsessed with this veggie sausage. It honestly tastes just like the real thing and can be formed into teeny balls or links or whatever you're into. I normally just prepare a bunch of mini pieces like this and bring them over to a hot frying pan coated with avocado oil and fry until they're a nice crispy brown. Okay, but actually it's like 25 minutes at 350 and these veggies are sizzling and ready to be plated up. I normally go by the toastiness of the Brussels sprouts. I am, of course, highly concerned with aesthetics, so after adding some of the veggies to each bowl and topping with our fake meat, we've got some colorful and delicious food bowls on our hands. But nothing is complete without a good sauce, so I always finish off with some store-bought thing, or if I'm feeling really ambitious, I'll experiment and make my own. I make it a point to cover the fake meat so it absorbs all the flavor without getting the rice too soggy. Again, these last in the fridge for the full week that you would need them, or you can freeze them for a bit longer. Now I'll show you an incredibly simple way to prep tofu, probably the easiest out there, which I recorded on a different week. After draining out the water within the packaging, cut your magnificent block into equally thin slices. When you fail because you're watching the camera instead of the block, press out some of the liquid with some paper towels. You won't get them perfectly dry this way, but it will definitely help. Then you want to press your slices between 2 flat surfaces like cutting boards. You'll want to weigh them down with something like heavy books, or in my case, a giant tool bag that I happen to keep in my kitchen. When working with tofu, I typically do this first in my meal prep, even before making the rice, since it takes at least an hour of pressing to get the moisture out. So after my curry is done and all my veggies are sliced in the oven cooking at 350, I cut up my tofu into squares and toss them with soy sauce and sesame oil. Here's where you can also spice them up, but I drench them in sauce later as you saw before, so at this point I just spread them evenly on the baking sheet, sprinkle some salt on them to encourage even more moisture loss, and put them in the oven for at least 40 minutes, flipping them after 20 minutes. From there it's the same, plate them up in veggie bowls and coat them with your sauce of choice. Okay, so now that I have 8 fabulous meals, what do I actually take to work with me? I obviously don't just eat rice all day every day, that would get boring. So I usually bring along a banana as well as some kind of snack, chips, dip, etc., and one dessert for the day. I've intentionally created this volumetric constraint for myself because knowing myself, if I pack a whole lot of salty snacks or candy, I absolutely would eat it all. Finally, I wanted to leave you with something that's often left out of cooking shows, the mess. I normally clean as I go in between cooking steps, but this time I chose to save everything to the end to show you how easy it is to make all your meals for the week at once. It's not that bad and could even fit into a single dishwasher load if you have one. And honestly, I'd rather do this once on Sunday than a smaller version every single day. And that's that. Remember that I'm by no means an expert on this topic. I'm sure there were many people before me who have done it better, optimizing for budget and macronutrient consumption and stuff. I just kind of figured it out as I went along and decided to share it with you. So don't forget to research and experiment and see what works for you and your budget and your needs. Happy baking!